Oh, all right, ladies and gentle squares, it's time for another 10-minute afternoon segment of information, education, motivation regards your fat loss, fitness and food with your friendly neighbourhood nutritionist. It's Connor Rhodes from SlimSociety.co.uk, and if you're a follower, you already knew that, and if you aren't, you should be, so come on, let's go. Today I'm going to be talking to you and teaching you about, today we are going to be discussing set point theory, or body weight set point, some people call it, body fat set point, or some people call it settling range. Body weight settling range or body fat settling range set point theory. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're discussing. You might have seen this online. Lots of coaches talk about this. There's loads of articles online. And most of them are getting it wrong, to be honest. Most of them describe it in strange ways that gives you a skewed perception of what's actually happening inside your body and what actually goes on when you lose weight. So first, let's answer a few basic questions, because this set point theory doesn't really work likely how you think it does. So let's answer a few basic questions. Number one, does your body want to be a certain weight? Because that's basically what the set point or the settling point theory is saying, isn't it? That your body wants to be a certain weight. And we can say kind of yes. We can say, and it has to have a kind of or a maybe or some ambiguity thrown in there, but it's a kind of yes. Because your body itself isn't really thinking about what weight it is or what weight it quote unquote wants to be. That's speaking sort of anthropomorphically, isn't it? It's more like the brain and you deciding what weight you want to be. But does the body have a healthy or preferred body weight range? Yes, it also does, doesn't it? This is also true. This is why the normal quote unquote BMI range exists. And I know what you're thinking, Connor, the BMI is not a good tool. That I understand, okay, that it's not an individual based tool, it's a populational average tool. I understand how the BMI works. It's just, it still exists with the categories and a range, because there's a healthy weight range. Can you be above the normal BMI range or below and still be healthy? Yes, you can. Okay, I understand the nuances of the discussion. But there's a healthy body weight range for each person, even though that range is different, or what weight it is, right? So does your body want to be a certain weight? Kind of yes, we can say for that. Now, the other part of the set point theory is people think of it like an elastic band, and like the further you stretch the elastic band away from the position of starting, or the place you started, or your like starting body weight, so you lose more and more weight, more. It's like pulling a bow back with a bow and arrow, and then you relax for 1 second, or sometimes even on its own, it'll spring. And it'll snap back like an elastic band or like a bow and arrow to its exact starting positioning point. For some people, the weight even goes higher, doesn't it, after the snap back? That's why people call it yo-yo dieting, even though it's not really yo-yo dieting, because the yo-yo doesn't go down and then further up, does it? So I'm not sure what the correct analogy would be for something that goes down and then shoots back further. I'm not sure. But that's how people describe it, isn't it? This set point theory, that your body wants to be a certain weight. If you've been the weight you are now for a long time, you probably think that's your set point, and that's the way people describe it. Oh, I've been overweight for 20 years, 30 years. People literally come to me in these situations, so they might think that their body weight, their set point, their settling range is at that body weight, when kind of not really. Kind of not really. Let's answer another basic question then. Does your body fight back, like we've just discussed, against the weight loss? Yes, definitely. You should have heard me discuss this. It's diet fatigue, isn't it? Or metabolic adaptation. And if you don't know what diet fatigue is, come on. Just follow the page more closely, listen to the videos, learn about your body, learn about yourself, learn about your health. Then you can control it once you know thyself, isn't it? It's know thyself, know thy enemy, whatever way you want to term it, okay? Whatever works for you. It's understanding. It's knowledge equals power, isn't it? Education equals freedom. So you need to understand what you're working with. Diet fatigue, it's just an umbrella term that encompasses difficulty of dieting mentally and physically. The more weight you lose in a row, and the faster you lose it, and the more without stopping, etc., yes, it gets harder. It builds this fatigue to diet. The more weight you lose in a row without stopping, it just gets harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. Hunger gets higher, cravings get higher, perceived levels of restriction go up, energy levels get lower, willpower gets lower, decision fatigue comes into it as well. You know, stress levels go up. This is real. This is real. So does your body want to be a certain weight? Yes. Does it fight back against changing weight? Yes. Does this mean that there are magical barriers inside you stopping you getting below a certain body weight? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's ridiculous and doesn't even make sense. It's impossible that that's the case. Some people come to me literally and they say, oh, I've actually just thought of an even better, more specific example. One person said to me, oh, I'm down at 80 kg now, and that's great. They'd lost like 20 kg, they were 100 and something. They've said, but I've got to this position before at this 80 kg and my weight never goes lower. I always get stuck in this position. In their mind, they're thinking maybe that's their furthest range from their set point, or that's the limits of their set point or settling range, isn't it? But if it was a fact that this person ate low calories, ate in a calorie deficit, didn't eat enough or any food, let's say, and then they didn't lose weight, how would that make sense? You'd live forever. Wouldn't you? How would that make sense? If you got down to a certain weight and it's whatever, 8 kg, 14, 15, 16 stone, whatever it is, and then you don't eat any food and your weight does not go down, how are you staying alive? You would literally live forever. Why have you been bothering eating all the rest of this time in the first place? Apparently you don't need food. What does it do for you? Apparently nothing, because you don't die if you don't eat it like every other human that's ever existed. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, does it? So there's no magical barriers. That is not what set point is. And if you are experiencing health issues from your body weight, then you are not in your set point either, because that's not your body weight's healthy, settling, preferred range if you're experiencing health issues from it. That's another thing I'll say. So if you've got a higher body weight that's causing you issues mentally or physically, it's different things for different people, but if that's for you, then you are not in your set point. That is not the weight your body wants to be. That's why you're experiencing negative issues from it. So that's not the thing holding you back. This set point, it's not like your body gets stuck and there's barriers inside you at a certain weight. It's diet fatigue based, okay? The further you move from your starting range or starting place, yes, it does get more difficult, but does that mean you're automatically going to snap back? Not necessarily. It's not like loading a bow and arrow that eventually you've got to let go of and it's going to snap back. That's not the case, okay? A better analogy is it's more like your flexibility. What you really need to do is, I discussed this in depth on a video that I've forgotten what the title was, but it was a recent video, so it's only going to be a few videos back, and I was stood in front of the whiteboard, and on top of the whiteboard it says different ways of eating on a diet. I can't remember what the exact title of the video was that I put on for you, but on the whiteboard it says different ways of eating on a diet. Okay, and I discussed this in depth, how we use maintenance breaks and controlled diet breaks, controlled maintenance diet breaks for our members so that they can get used to, mentally, physically, in habit, in routine, in lifestyle, in body, in mind, in feeling, so that they can get used to the new weight they've become, and then their energy levels come back up, they feel better, and then they can progress on again forward. This is exactly what you need to do to get out of this set point thing. Yes, it is a fact that the further you get, the harder it gets. So do you know what you need to do? You need to just stop and take a break. You need to settle it down. A better analogy than the elastic band or the bow and arrow is this. It's more like your flexibility. Like, have you ever tried to stretch your legs? Like, if I put my leg out straight like this, I can grab my hamstring. I can grab my foot, it stretches my hamstring. That feels quite tight. And the more I move my chest down, the tighter it'll feel. This feels quite tight now in the back of my leg, okay. You know, if I hold this for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, you can try this yourself if you want to, if you've ever done yoga or tried to stretch your legs or something, you'll know. But if I hold this here for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, eventually it'll stop hurting. Literally, I'll get used to it. My muscles will get used to it. I'll just get used to it. And then you can bend further, and then it'll hurt again, and you've got to try and breathe through it and hold, and eventually 30 seconds to 2 minutes you'll get used to it, and then you can go even further. That's how it works with your diet. It's difficult because you're changing habits, you're changing routine, you're changing foods, maybe you're putting in effort exercising. This is all difficulty, and the further you get, the longer you've been keeping it up, and it's all getting more difficult as it goes along. This is real. So you know what you need to do? Just stop and take a break. Let yourself get used to it. Stop trying to push forward constantly. Like if you want to learn to do the splits, you don't just start pulling your legs open and not stop until you get there, do you? No, you stretch them a bit and then you hold at a position that you can handle, but it feels a bit difficult, but you can handle. Hold till you get used to it, and then over sessions and time you get further and further and further. This is how it goes with diet too. You need to let your body, lifestyle, routine, hormones, happiness, mindset, you know, stomach size, flipping, everything, shopping habits, food environment. You need to let all these get used to after a period of dieting. It doesn't even take that long if you do it right. I discussed it on the other video. I've got flipping 45 seconds left to get through this with you. But you lose some weight, give your body time to get used to it. Let that be your new settling point, the point where you find it easy to be. Wait until it becomes a little bit easier, then progress on. Then wait until that becomes your new set point, which you understand now hopefully is not a specific thing. It's more like an accumulation of your habits, your routine, your feelings, how much effort you're putting in. Wait until it settles down and becomes easier, then progress further. Hopefully that makes sense. That's your 10-minute video of the day. Lovely to see you again. Thank you so much. Like the video, give us a thumbs up, give us a follow. Make sure you stay in touch. If you want help, go to slimsociety.co.uk to see who we are and how we can help you. Connor Rhodes, thank you so much. Speak to you and I'll see you again soon.